Hola e bienvenidos a los channel Forensic Detailing. So today, guys, we're going to be looking at some products that we've talked about, and they've been around for a while. And primarily the product that I'm going to be focusing on is Gyeon Cancoat Evo, the latest kind of revision or reworking of the product, which I think gives slightly more durability and hydrophobicity from the original version. It's hard to tell though. It's very similar to the original Cancoat. We're going to be using that with the Gyeon Primer polish first, and we can use Gyeon Prep. That plays a little role in all this sort of stuff. But we're talking about why you might want to consider Gyeon Cancoat, what its strengths are, why you might want to not use it or opt for other formats like waxes or full-blown ceramics. That's the first thing to understand with Gyeon Cancoat, is that it's like, in my head, a halfway house between a full-blown ceramic coating, which can potentially do, what, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, many years. It's somewhere between that and beyond perhaps what a wax will do, and, you know, what a sealant will do. What actually is it? And the problem is I don't really know, so I'm going to caveat that this is a guess. I believe it's a lightweight ceramic coating. That's what it's often referred to as. So it might contain some of the same technologies or raw materials or base solids that are used in coatings, but effectively at a lower ratio. So it's watered down, but it's not watered down with water because it's not water-based. So it's more oil or carrier in there than a traditional ceramic. What are the advantages of that? Well, it makes it easier to apply, you know, smoother, less risks of like thicker high spots, less potential curing issues, perhaps slightly less problematic and a bit more casual than a full-blown ceramic coating. But the downside is a full-blown ceramic coating with higher resins and less oils and all that sort of stuff will last longer. And you could argue, if you're doing full prep on a car, you're going full polishing, decontamination, polishing it to a very high standard in the right environment, that once you've done that work, then a full-blown ceramic coating might be that better option. So it's got a slight more casual leaning towards it. Perhaps the thing I misunderstood about this product is that you can use it really casually. I always treated it in my head like a ceramic coating. And let's get on with the actual preparation for this as well while we're talking, or else this video could be very long. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to prepare the paintwork with Gyeon Primer. Now this is a complicated product as well, because this is a finishing polish that I believe, again, doesn't contain like oxides like aluminum or aluminium oxides. I believe it's a specialist kind of SiO2 or Si material resin which has an abrasive effect, and you can finish out and gloss up paint with it. You know, it's a high finish, low cut, very low cut. But it leaves that resin that it puts out over the panel when you're polishing it. It kind of cures off, fills minor imperfections like a glaze would, and cures off, and then you can buff and then go straight on with your coating or Gyeon Cancoat. I have waxed on top of it as well, but I don't think it's primarily developed for that. Now, the thing with Gyeon Primer is you can polish your panel. Let's crack on with doing that right while I'm talking. You can polish your panel, and you can then buff, and then you could leave that panel for 24 hours for whatever, the carrier and the stuff in here to vape off the panel and for the SiO2 film to do its thing. You could do that, or you can buff it, and I believe you can go over the panel with Gyeon Prep to remove those kind of volatile components, carrier oils and stuff, if you want to coat quicker. So, but I always believe leaving it for a little bit before you do that is going to be beneficial. Maybe after you've polished, just wait like an hour or something and then do your prep wipe down and then coat. So we put a small amount of this polish on a soft Gyeon polishing pad, and, you know, assume we've clayed the car. and assume the paintwork doesn't need deep cutting. It doesn't. And you're just really prepping the surface and maybe taking out any fine hazing and all that sort of stuff. If you're cutting and you're using the Gyeon compound, you can then finish out with the primer and then go straight on with your coating. And this primer material is hydrophobic on its own. And it does seem to sort of like take the coating really well. And you know, you're coating on something that's hydrophobic as well, it will enhance that kind of beading effect, I think. We've done some tests on that. But this, if you just, could you just put this on your car and like leave this to cure for 24 hours and that could be your protection? Yes, but it's not like weatherproof and all that work to polish with it. You're better off putting a proper sealant on top, but you can do that. A bit like you could with a glaze, you know. So how do you use Gyeon Primer? Well, just like any polish, you can spread it over the panel, and I think they advise not to use too much, so you've not like soaked out. It's not like a massive thick film. And you work your panel, but because this does improve hazing and stuff like that, doing a good polishing set on it is going to be beneficial. They also advise you don't overwork it and like go hell for leather with it. You just work it on a medium speed, which is kind of what we're going to do. So let's just spread it over the panel so we don't flick any little footprints. You could tape up as well. Tape up those rubbers if you want to go full throttle, and then we'll just work it. So that's a decent speed. We're just letting the polish improve the surface. Forgive my head. We'll just do an up and down pass. Always just try and, I still just stick to that crosshatch thing. When this polish starts to disappear like it's doing now, you're done really. You could carry on if you wanted to. Yeah. So that has glossed up that panel quite nicely actually. What does it say about buff times? Fully diminished, yeah, medium revs. Wipe off with a high quality microfiber. After 24 hours, the residue evaporates and an SiO2 primer surface is ready to be coated. Otherwise, surface can be coated immediately after priming. Without any other action, otherwise surface can be coated immediately after priming, but it requires a prep degreasing. That's what I said. Let's bring you in. So the instructions cover that now. So this has kind of disappeared a little bit. One thing I like about this product, and that's the reason I went back and bought it, and it's not cheap. I think it's more than 50 quid for a litre of this primer, and it's how you fit it in, but the buff on it is really good, providing you don't overwork it and hammer it. So you just work it on a nice slow speed like that. Look at that. That is nice. But that's what you want from polishing. This surface feels wicked. That has done a really good job. I should use this product more, I really should. I should use this product more. That is going to make your car look really nice. This is an underrated product, this primer. I need to use it more. I'm just leaving those little bit of polishing oils there so I know where I've gone up to. What I'll do is just pause the camera and I'm going to polish that piece and then I'll come back. Okay, we're back. So the whole wing has been primered and buffed. I think just to reiterate, definitely tiny amounts of this polish and a really thin layer and work it till it starts to clear out. And it is really easy to use. So because we're going to go straight on top, we're going to just get some Gyeon Prep on our cloth. Let's get a little mist on the panel as well. We're just going to pick up. It really feels like you could go straight on top of this, but they obviously know what they're talking about. There's stuff in there that you either need to wipe out now with this prep, or you know, or you just leave it like they say. So we just buff it, then take a dry side, buff that dry. This prep smells nice. Yeah, I want to get that smooth panel. This primer, I tell you, if you're taking your car to a show and you just want like glossy looks, just primer it, because it looks phenomenal. Right, so we've done all our preparation work for this now. So we're breaking this down. You have to do this over the entire car. We're just demoing it on a kind of wing. Now, Gyeon Cancoat, this comes in a little box with applicators and pump sprayers. And when I did the video with Gyeon back in February, like, you could just use those pump sprayers and spray it into a microfiber cloth and just wipe it over, almost like you're just applying a kind of, almost like a detail spray. And that works. I don't know what I've done with the little sprayers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it more like a coating, which you can do, but you don't have to. So let me just set the camera up. So these applicators they've got are pretty elite. So I'm going to use one of their applicators. This is going to put quite a lot of product out because I'm not using the sprayer, which is, you don't have to do. Thing with this Gyeon Cancoat, you get so much, it's hard to use it all up. So, you know, actually using the product for me is a good thing because you want to use it. So I'm just going to get a good amount of that liquid in there and then just lay it out over that panel, like almost like I would a coating, but just quickly, you know, just quickly, rather than doing all your crisscrosses and stuff. So you can almost imagine you got it on a cloth and you just get it out over that panel. I guess when you're doing it slowly like this, you can really get up to the edge, which is nice. A bit like when you're applying a wax or a sealant, you want to get it on all the panel. You can get it in there. It's not going to hurt if I get it on that bit of trim. Okay, just make sure I wipe that. So there, we've put the material on quite thick. We'll take a clean cloth. I just want to see what it says around how long you leave it. With a coating, oh, it's got a sticker over the directions. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, you peel that back. So with a coating, you just want to leave it on the panel a little bit. Apply the coating is recommended. Spray the coating onto microfiber cloth. Wipe onto the paintwork. Wipe immediately after application. Okay, so yeah, you can use it pretty casually. So we're going to take a clean cloth and we're just going to wipe that panel back to a shine. Now, one of the things you don't get when you use ceramic coatings is when you put like a wax down on a panel, you get like a haze and a curing, and then you get like a buff to a shine. Because we're already primering in the surface, you don't get that feeling that you're buffing to a shine. You almost just get the sense that you're just removing material. There's a little bit there that I've got to take off. I'm just going to get most of the material off first, then flip the cloth and then give it a final buff out. There we go. And of course, we would just want to make sure we get it all. Got a little bit there on the bonnet. Let's just get that. That's it. It's starting to set now. I can feel it. Yeah, you can also use it on trim this. So you could do your trim with it, but we're not doing that. That trim's okay. Right. So let me just put the camera down a second because I want to make sure that wipe down is 100% good. Yeah. Make sure, because where you've gone over the edges, onto the other panel that you've not prepped. I don't want any bits of product lying around, a bit like getting a high spot with a coating. But that's good. So now, what I would do is, imagine we've done that on the whole car. I'd leave it well alone. What does it say on curing? Hold on a second. Right. Fully cures after 24 hours. So I'd just leave that in my garage and yeah, obviously not wash it or anything like that. If I'm applying this outside, I would just check the weather forecast and not apply it if it's pouring with rain. Same, or if it's gonna rain, I'd just give it 24 hours sitting there, drying off and curing. But essentially a very easy product to apply. This product is very beady, very hydrophobic, we know that. This product will diminish, it will lose that hydrophobic performance. Again, what are your options there? Well, your options are, Gyeon have got a few. You could use something like Cure, which I haven't really used this. This is the redefined one. I'll test this out and see what it's like. But it's more in my head like a sacrificial layer to go on top after you've applied a coating. That's traditionally what it was. But you can use it like a silica spray sealant, you know, a ceramic spray sealant. Is that what they describe it as? Yes. So you can use it like that. You could use a standard Gyeon detail spray, like the Gyeon QD, or you could use the Gyeon ceramic QD if you want a bit more punch, and wash the car with that. You could, in a couple of months' time, wash the car off, dry it off, maybe give it a little squirt over with prep and prep the panel just so it's all degreased and cleaned, and then spritz a bit more Cancoat on. I would probably recommend you do that so you actually use it up. How long does this bottle stay good? Well, this bottle's over a year old and it's fine. I think you'll probably, don't quote me on any of this because I'm guessing, but I think you'll probably get 2 or so years out of it from the point that you've opened it. But try and use it is the thing. So there you go. When I first kind of got interested in Gyeon, I first saw them. I remember as soon as I saw the products, I thought, yeah, they mean business. They mean business. I was interested in them as a brand because they were all in on ceramic coatings back when they first started. They didn't have the Gyeon Wax. This was a coating brand. They had a consumer line of coatings which were good, and these packages of coatings where they were like combos of things which looked really cool. They had the normal coatings, you know, like was it Gyeon 1 and stuff like that, your entry-level stuff. Then up the range towards Synchro, which that's supposed to be their best consumer one. And then they had all the accredited stuff that you had to be an accredited detailer for. And that was a big part of their business model, I think, the whole accredited detailer scene. If you wanted to be a Gyeon accredited detailer, they needed to vet you first to make sure you had all the right studio, you knew what you're doing, because you're kind of representing their brand. So not everyone could just go in and be a Gyeon certified detailer, which was a good thing because it's so important, I think, to maintain a sort of standard with your installers as well. So that was a cool thing. But I liked it because it was like an alternative modern way to detail your car that was different to everything I'd been using, all the traditional kind of waxes and sealants and products. It was like all in modern, very desirable to me. And that went all the way through their range with some of their other products that I thought were excellent, like Gyeon Wet Coat, and all that sort of stuff. I think they had some really good, interesting protection products. But another thing that drew me to this brand was the fact that everything was good. Their marketing was always really good. They were actively marketing themselves. You know, getting in front of cameras, although they do proper videography, like they do high quality stuff, high quality edits. But getting out there and showing people your products and doing content for it and putting it out on social media, making magazines, doing stuff to create interest in your products and sales, which is what you've got to do. But it's how you go about doing that. And I think they did that really well. They're committed to that. But I also felt that all of the quality of the stuff beyond just the chemical products was all top drawer. So like just looking at things like this, you know, all their microfiber accessories that you get in the kits and stuff, their microfiber packages, they all came like packaged up nicely, and they're all like Korean made. Like example of their applicator kind of pads. I don't use these because I use these for slickness testing, so I don't put chemical on these ones, but they're all just really good quality. So you knew if you were buying something from them, it was generally going to be pretty good, as opposed to just selling you kind of like bulk standard valeting cloths, you know, cheap microfiber cloths. It was all good quality. And that ran through all the way through the line. Their wash mitt was completely unique. You know, they got their own Tyre scrubbing thing, and it's all kind of premium detailing stuff. So yeah, I think they're a really solid brand, a really solid modern brand, and I like the products. Just from using that primer, it reminded me how good it can make your car look, and it reminds me I need to use it more. The problem is I still like waxes. I like things like this that you spread out and you can use. And I still have a feeling in my head that this is a ceramic coating. And it is in a way. Another downside with Cancoat and coatings is that now I've put that on, I shouldn't use any polishes, any buffage. I should do no buffage on that panel because it's going to strip the Cancoat. Whereas like with a waxy glaze, I can wax it up and I'm not worried about stripping the wax that's on there. You know, I just wax it up again. But I suppose you could do that with their system. When I first thought about primer, I almost thought that it would be great if Gyeon had a version of this that was a proper AOI rather than AIO, rather than a primer. This is definitely a primer. And if they could make a similar thing to this that you just use on its own and that's it, you're done. You just buff it on, you let it haze out and cure, and it shines up the paint in the same way, a finishing thing, but it beads and it can do 3 months. Then I could just use that. You know what I mean? It'd be quicker. But that's the nature of the beast. There is no all-in-one product that I can think of that can give you the protection of doing, you know, something like this or even a wax or whatever afterwards. You get more durability when you separate the two activities. You do. These are the other two products which I keep on my shelf. This is a similar type thing, but it's a wax sort of product, and you know it's wax essentially, but it's just as good to use. It's nice and shiny as well. This is a traditional abrasive with some sort of ceramic sealant in it that will have a little bit more durability than the Black Hole and the Gyeon Primer. So that is more of a finishing polish with a sealant in it, which is something that would be nice for the primer, I think, but it would be so similar, I'm not sure if there's enough of a market. There we go, yeah. There we go, it's very interesting. Really, yeah, I mean, really, it's whether or not you want to go with modern kind of stuff or you like waxes. There is a reason Gyeon brought this wax out, and I think that is because you, as a detailing brand, you need a wax. I think you should have just a traditional wax, and this is an interesting one because of the way it's in the tube and all that, and that's pretty beady and hydrophobic as well. So you have to have it because people like it, and I like it as well. The thing about perhaps that wax is that can stay there for years and years and years and years and years, and it still works, and you don't use a lot when you apply it. It's more casual. It's even more casual than the Cancoat product. So yeah, there are some advantages though. Cancoat, you could argue, is more versatile because a wax, for example, if you've got faded trims or you want to restore your trims, you wouldn't use a wax for that, but you can use Cancoat for that. You can like pop that panel off, for example, clean it all up, panel wipe it, put Cancoat over it, and It's like a trim restorer as well. Careful what I say. It's not. But it will do that. You get the idea. You can put it on glass. Again, I don't tend to put it on glass, but you can. So it's quite a versatile product. Again, you wouldn't put wax on glass, you wouldn't put wax near trims or all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I also think there may be some argument into the fact that if you use Cancoat as a base, it will work better with something like Gyeon Wet Coat. They might complement each other more, although Gyeon might disagree with that because this wax is also developed to be used on top of a ceramic coating, so it's supposed to give you some self-cleaning. I think it's fluoro polymer based as well. So yeah, you can, and that's a bit of a contradiction because ceramic coatings were always the alternative to a paste wax. You know, modern materials which give you more self-cleaning. So the concept of then waxing on top of a ceramic coating was, what's the word? It was counterintuitive because you're not getting the best of both worlds if you're using one technology and then putting another technology on top. But I guess the caveat of that is if your wax has self-cleaning and you want to, and it's designed to go on top of the coating, then you can put it on and buff it all up because you might miss the buff. That's one piece of feedback that I get from people that use ceramic coatings. They're new to detailing, they see ceramic coatings, they have a ceramic coating, it might last it might be a 3-year coating. And then they're like, summer comes and you want to do stuff on your car and they want to put a wax on top of it. They want to get out, get into the garage, put something on the coating and buff away on the coating. So again, having products that you can put on and buff on top of a coating might be desirable, but yeah, you can argue the coating's got to be the best material. So it's up to you really. Yeah, I think perhaps on paper rather than, if you like, this is my opinion, if you like that cure, haze and buff, then use the wax. Using the Cancoat and then putting the wax on the top, or using a coating and putting the wax on the top, I would probably go with the coating or the Cancoat and then top that with like a ceramic spray product or something like that, you know. If I decide I want to go down the wax line, then I'll go all in with the wax and I'll just wax every couple of months in the summer and enjoy the process. So it's really up to you. Very interesting products. Primer will make your car look really good and it will make it feel good. It will make it glossy, you know, it will take out hazing. It's a product that could be used and is used primarily by professionals, I think, that are using the Gyeon system of abrasives and doing lots of coatings and stuff like that. But funny enough, I think that's a really retail, consumer-friendly product because it's not going to be cutting away. There's no risk with using that. It's not some dusty abrasive that you got to be careful with and all that. You can use it quite casually, as I've just kind of shown. So there's pros and cons with all of this, but yeah, Cancoat's a product I should definitely try and use more, and I should definitely try and use that bottle up this year in 2026, which is going to be a tall order because I've got that wax, I've got about another 25 waxes in there, I got ceramic spray sealants, I got other polishes, I got traditional sealants, I got full-blown ceramic coatings. I get the lad. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Over and out. Doug.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I?